Welcome into a postseason edition of Inside Tiger Football presented by Rib Crib. Dylan Rivera here with head coach Travis Hill, talking all things about the season, going all the way back to that very first game. But we got to start with what happened just this past week, taking on Bixby, the perennial champion, the ones who seem to be winning it every year. It was a tall task to go out there and beat that team. They're a very talented squad. But I thought you guys held up well, especially in those first three quarters.
No, there's no doubt about it. There's kind of like the season, as we're going to get into a little communication on that too, but a lot more positives than was negatives. It doesn't look pretty when you look at the end. We're not in anything moral around here. That's not our success evaluator. It's simply win or loss. And so we didn't do the things that were necessary to win. But even without that, I mean, we'll just rehearse this real quick. 4 turnovers to 0. Us having the 4, jumping off sides again, being a problem 8 times. That's 40 yards right there of give me yards. And if it's a game of inches, that's a lot of inches to give up there, Dylan. And so with those things being said, you're not going to go in and beat a good football team, a Bixby team, a semifinal football team, or whoever that may be, without playing very, very good football. So again, the positive of this is our kids fought hard. The things, the intangible that you don't control as a coach, that you think you do, but you don't. That's their decision. Man, they are winners. They get after it every week. I'm so proud of them for that they learned that, because whenever that's done, Dylan, well, you got a chance to be a really good football team and a good football program. So if we can continue on that, we'll clean the other stuff up. That's called coaching. That's where it does come into play a little bit, and we'll clean those things up and become a better football team.
Obviously, when you talk about cleaning things up, you're going to be talking about on the field. But I want to ask kind of off the field, in the locker room, and how those guys have started to adapt to the culture that Travis Hill's staff is bringing in. How has that been throughout this year, and how did that look in the final game?
You know, it's getting better. Just to kind of reinforce this morning, I was in an admin meeting that I always have on Wednesday morning with our administrators over in the school, in the academic arena. And I said, turn up the volume. And my whole 2 cents on that is this. If you're a champion, you got to be a champion all the time. It's not something you can just practice every once in a while. So I'm big on what we do off the field. What we do when we get here, Dylan, it takes care of itself. I mean, you know, the hardest thing you guys do is prepping for something. Once the show starts, it's easy. Even the cleanup's a pain in the rear. I got to edit Coach Hill. He can't talk right, or whatever it may be. But the bottom line is, I'm very happy with our kids. They're identifying that. Little things that I look at. You said locker room. I mean, can you take care of your own locker? Okay, how can you take care of somebody else if you can't take care of your own stuff? Do we have to worry about you when you're not with us? Can you go over into an academic setting and sit down and be adult enough or just mature enough to handle that? How are you going to be a champion on the football field if you can't do that? So I'm very happy that they're buying into that they truly understand that. And I think to buy into something, you got to believe it. So they do. They understand that being a great citizen and doing all those other things correctly enables you or helps you, whether it be football, any athletic endeavor, any business endeavor, any life endeavor. It helps you be more successful whenever you go to. It's called habits.
Yeah, I think that carries over into the football game, because then you start to see those guys really flourish in their roles and really start to take on to the coaching that they're receiving, and of course playing for themselves, playing for each other, those sorts of things. And against Bixby, it looked pretty good for those first 3 quarters. Like I said, the defense really stood out to me. You guys made a lot of crucial stops, especially in that third quarter. What'd you like about how the defense played throughout that game?
Well, again, you go in at halftime, it's 21-3, and you saw some fragmenting maybe starting, okay? But it came together real quick, and you saw that with what we went and did on the football field. So we play a third quarter that we won, okay, that we held them scoreless and still did not play well necessarily. So, but we played hard again, and we stuck together. Defensively, those are unique things whenever we got so many stops there. And it seemed like the whole game was played on our side of the 50. So we got a whole lot of stops there, kept us in the game. We got our touchdown, got our points back, made it 21-10, was in striking distance. And then just some things went south on us in the fourth quarter. And it really surprised me, because I thought at that point in time that the arena that we were in and the situation, I thought, man, we will capitalize on this. And we got a chance to win this football game. We're where we need to be. And we've won a lot of fourth quarters this year. We've been a dominant fourth quarter team. And it just isn't, kudos to Bixby, being able to recuperate and fire back. And on our behalf, we just kind of ran out of blanks at that point in time. And there's a certain point in time where reality's reality, and that probably set in a little bit there in the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah. As you're talking about the halftime break there, what was the locker room like in that moment?
It was just as you come in, you saw some kids challenging each other like you're supposed to do to be better. And I think sometimes the Lord works in funny ways. You come in at the proper time into that setting to just make sure it stayed right there. And the challenges were great. And then my challenge is to them to go out and continue to be together, continue to fight, and do the things that are necessary, and let it take care of itself. You only control this. And they did that. I mean, Dylan, whenever you talk to 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids and they do what you ask them to do, it's always a huge accomplishment. And they did that. And so there's so much learning that was involved in that, and how to stick together and how to work together. That's when they come back, because we all know when somebody gives us $100, it's easy to work hard. When we get $100 taken away, that's when you find out about yourself. Okay, and that's just a small example of just me saying, hey, it's easy to work hard whenever things cohesive and fun. But man, when it starts to get torn apart and it gets challenging, and you can still do that as a group of kids, as a group of people, young men, then that says you're going the right direction. So we're very, very proud of our kids and very, very proud of the program and the steps they made.
That's a team that was averaging 60-plus points a game. So for you guys to slow them down to 0 there in that third, but even 21 through those first 3 quarters says a lot about where your defense is at. And, you had talked about us having everybody in the right place in the summer. That's what you had said right before the season had started, was you felt like everybody was in the right spot. You just needed to coach them up on what they're doing in that spot. By the end of the season, it felt like everybody had started to understand their role better, and you started to see players that maybe throughout the season were still hitting those speed bumps. It felt like by the end of the year, those last couple of games, they had figured it out.
Yeah, that's a good evaluation as far as just seeing it and from the outside in. No, I mean, and it's tough. I mean, everybody has their own, you want your role and I want my role, and I want to predict that or make that exactly what I want. And that doesn't always work out when you're working with a family, a team. Yeah. And so everybody did adjust, made their adjustments, and accepted them. And worked hard and diligently. So, like I said, and that's hard to do as an adult. That's hard to do as a 63-year-old man. Okay, much less for young people. And the way society teaches them, everything needs to be given, and it's fun right now. If not, don't be a part of it. But that's not reality. So, what became fun for some of them was finding that role and finding out how important and how good they were really at that role, and then how you can't accept the role that you always want if you can't accept another role. That's how your boss, your coach, they always evaluate. Hey, he did that role, great. He's up for the next role. So you got to do whatever role that's thrown in front of you to the very best of your ability, and positive things come out, not only for you as an individual, but obviously for the team.
We started with the pretty stuff. We started talking about defense and how well they played, but offensively things got ugly. As you had mentioned, 4 turnovers, and we obviously have to get into that is what just went wrong in the past game that Satimba ends up throwing those 4 picks.
Yeah, it's simple. You're going to give a lot of credit to Bigsby, okay? A heck of a pick on the sideline. I happened to be evaluating that myself, and I would have argued a lot, but his foot was in bounds, on it. But long story short, Bigsby had a lot to do with that. What makes our offense very productive is the idea of being able to run the football and then be able to throw off of that. We weren't able to successfully beat them with the run. It did finally open up in the third quarter a little bit. We stayed persistent with it. That was good. But they forced us in the arenas where they knew we were going to have to throw the football, or we had to throw the football, and that's not when we're at our best. So that puts us at a disadvantage. And the 4 picks, it doesn't matter. I just said turnovers. It doesn't picks, fumbles. They're all irrelevant. Okay, it's a turnover. You can't do that. I could probably go back in the last 3 years and fortunately have a pretty good little record. But I could look at the 4 or 5 games we've lost in the last 3 years as a coaching staff, and it's all based on turnovers. Every one of them, it was a turnover scenario that's the reason why we lost that football game. So I think it has a whole lot, again, to do with that. And you get in semifinal football where everything gets tighter, it's equal, then all of a sudden those become even bigger as you try to progress and win a football game. I mean, we watched the University of Oklahoma pull one out by the skin of their teeth with 3 turnovers and the other team not having any. So it's huge, and it's just something we got to continue to understand the importance. And basically, regardless of what the other team's giving us or not, we've got to say that's one thing that can't happen.
Yeah. As far as the run game goes, you had touched on it, and it was a struggle in the first half to really get anything going, especially up the middle. Yeah. Anything that was an inside run was not going anywhere. Was that something that they were doing schematically that was slowing you guys down, or was it just hard to get a push?
No, it's hard to get a push. They're better. They're better than, like I said, semifinal football. They're better than teams we've been playing up front defensively. 2 linebackers are extremely good. So it had a lot to do. Schematically, I don't think we got, Bigsby out of their scheme. I mean, they're a 3-4 team, and they pretty set in that, and they're going to walk the old outside linebacker up. So they did what we kind of expected them to do. It's just we weren't able to get the push we've been getting. There's a variety of things you can say that. We didn't play as well. We didn't coach as well, whatever it may be. But bottom line is Bigsby had a lot to do with that too. And like I said, when you force people into situations, okay, then all of a sudden we get a little desperate and we start forcing. That's where the picks come from, trying to force a few things to make them work when they really weren't there to work. And you can't consistently run the football. Then those things are going to happen. Because I'll say it again. I mean, it's easy. I can go to every clinic in the world and talk this. If you want to be a great football team, and you're going to watch the NFL this year, the rest of the year, and you're going to watch collegiate football as it goes through playoffs, teams that can run the football and stop the run are going to be the teams that win football games.
Now, offensively, you talked about the penalties as well and the jumping early. And that was something that we'd seen a lot of early on in the season, and then kind of shook it off, came back for maybe a game or 2 here and there, but again, shook it off, and then it bites you again in the semifinal game. Is that something that you can really work through, or is that something that just it happens or it doesn't?
We're going to work through it, and we're going to find whether it be a system, schematically, whatever it may be, or just discipline. We're going to work through that and make sure that's something that we just can't continue to happen. There's a reason why it's 1st and 10. It's hard to get there in 3 downs, in certain situations 4 downs, okay? Yeah. So when you go 1st and 15, I'm going to have to – this is something I'm going to have to go Google this stuff up, okay, and figure out, get into your the logistics of the football game. The odds go down immensely to get a 1st down, immensely. So, there's just things you can't do. And somebody ever wants to complain about officiating. The officials didn't make that one happen. They can't make calls just as obvious as it gets. You're moving before the football snapped or a misaligned or whatever it may be. So those are things, like I said, that to me – kids win football games, coaches lose football games, so we didn't coach that up well enough. It's that simple, and that's right here. I mean, that's where that goes to, and we got to get better at it. And I've told you earlier in the season, after the Owasso game, if I was sitting in the stands and evaluating that game as a coach, okay, don't like evaluating myself very much, but I coach there didn't do a good job. And so that's just simply, I don't know how to put it any other way. So we got to get better in those areas, and like I said, kids improve, players improve, strength coaches improve, coaches improve. So we got to continue to get better and figure out that problem, make sure it doesn't happen again.
Obviously, that turns toward next season, but I also want to talk about some of the positives that happened in this Bixby game and. On the offensive side of the ball specifically, and there wasn't all bad, right? You get up with 17 points on the scoreboard. To me, Samaj, of course, stands out. He made a couple of big plays, and it seems like every single week we talk about him and what he does on the football field. But there were a handful of guys that made some nice plays. You saw Sango break off a couple of runs. Titan Hicks had a good play as well. So guys that have been really crucial all season long show up in a big way in a semifinal game.
Yeah, they do. And you look at your skill situation coming back, we don't lose anybody. I mean, from a skill position standpoint. So a lot of firepower coming back. Those kids, we feel like I said, there's a lot of positives that we had throughout the years. We continue to develop offensively and defensively in special teams. But offensively, we felt like we really had found a groove of just, like I said, playing complementary winning football. We weren't a dynamic, here we come, offensive football team, high-powered. But, man, we were awful hard to stop. And if you look at our possession and controlling games, we got really good at that. And that's just one thing that was taken away from us. Again, we'll give Bigsby a little honors on that. That was taken away from us on Friday night in the semifinal football game, or Friday afternoon, should I say. But, again, we'll use a lot of those concepts again next year, because you got the same people coming back and just finding better in other ways and other useful sources. And and trying to find a way to win football games and be a very, very productive offense.
I feel like a lot of what we've talked about has been encapsulated in the first 3 quarters of the game, but that fourth quarter got really, really ugly. So let's just talk about that final quarter of play. What went wrong? What did you see in those last few minutes?
Well, like I said, when Nate Jackson went down, that really hurt us defensively. That's whenever I saw us, the chinks in the armor kind of opened up a little bit there. So they got that other touchdown to go up to, take it back up to 28. And so truly, in my heart and soul, the score was 35-17. Now, it wasn't. It was 49, okay? But the bottom line is, like I said, we played well. It was a 14-7 quarter, in my opinion, because the rest of it, right, wrong, or indifferent, there's a reality check, okay? And, their last drive, I don't want to say we gave up, but you saw the chinks. You saw where we missed Nate. You saw us trying to probably make plays that weren't there, and that you fall apart. All of a sudden, I got to make a play instead of just doing my job. That got him in the end zone again, and then the kickoff to have the ball die on the 1 yard line, or actually inside the one. That's just one of them deals where, hey, you weren't thinking, mistake, and we gave him some points there that, like I said, were somewhat irrelevant. We were not going to win the football game at that point in time. That's what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, I don't want to give up a half point, much less 7 more. Again, a learning experience, and I don't care how far the ball is kicked, and if it lands on the 1, I've never seen that on a kickoff where it backspin out that and come back. I've never seen that. But now we got to learn from that and say, hey, that's because it's a live ball, obviously, as we know on the kickoff, and. So we got to make sure we're in a position to take care of that and not assume it's taking care of itself.
Right.
And but it did. The wheels fall off. I mean, that's what happens whenever you get into that situation, and it finally collapses on you. And as desperate as you prepared and want to win, it's a yucky feeling.
Yeah. Yep. As we close the book on what happened last Friday, I want to ask what was post-game like? What was the message post-game as the team came together and the season had concluded?
It was good. I'm going to make you laugh on this. I got a little theory on this. When you see a bunch of kids cry, something's wrong. And you say, Coach, what is wrong? You hardcore? No. Whenever you give your very best and you prepare, okay, and you've done what you do, whenever it's done, there's a sense of satisfaction, a sense of I did everything I could, okay? Now, when you don't, you cry because you didn't leave it all on the line. It's hard to cry when you're worn out, Dylan. It's hard to cry when you gave everything you got, okay? So there was none of that. Our kids were very head up, chest out. Great the way they handled themselves after the game, was with their handshake and the line, all that stuff for sportsmanship, which scares the heck out of you at that point in time of the season. No, very proud of them. They promptly got off the field, did what they necessary. There wasn't the drama, and I know that sounds weird, but no, that's a winning program. They expected to win. They did what they needed to do. They fought hard. They made their mistakes. They learned. The program learned. The football team learned. We got better, and this is something that's going to carry over next year. It just sucks. You got to wait X amount of days. You don't get to play this Friday or Saturday. Yeah. You got to wait a year or right at it in order to get this thing done again. But no, I was very, very proud of our kids, the way they handle themselves, the way our community handle themselves, and what we're saying. No excuses, okay? And that's one of my big deals. Right? I don't believe in excuses. I just don't, okay? You get it done. And if there is excuse, they're out there. And you identify it, and you don't make an excuse. You find a way to conquer that, okay? And I think that's what our community, and I think that's what our kids are all about.
Well, as you touched on the community, that was one thing that I wanted to make sure I said to you at some point as this season is concluded, is that even though you don't end up getting all the way to the state championship like you ideally would like to be in, one thing that I think I've seen from the outside is that the community growth around the program, it's there, and the community support is there, and that's something that over the last few years, I think Broken Arrow fans had started to maybe check out a little bit because of the program and where it was at. And now with you coming in and you making this change with the team and getting things back on track, this is a team that the city and that the community and that Broken Arrow alums like myself can say, you know what, we're proud of this football team and we're proud to be BA Tigers and come out here to the stadium or watch on ArrowVision, whatever it may be, because this is a team that I want to support.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want to coach at an arena that doesn't expect that. I mean, that means you expectations ain't there. No, you want those expectations high. Everybody says that's stress, it's this and that. Ain't nobody going to stress out any more than me. Ask Mrs. Hill. She'll tell you. She knows how important it is. And it's not important because of an ego or anything like that. It's because that's just what we do. I hate to lose. The kids hate to lose. And we hate to lose more than we even like to win. So proud of the community, happy for them. And our job is yes, we need you guys. We need you for your support. Off season, in season, and hopefully we will continue to make this thing grow. That we get that. I'm telling you, this may be a weird goal and it may not sound right, okay? But I look up there and that press box does not look right with just one of those. It's just we need to put as many up there as we can. But the bottom line is let's go after the next one, and that's what our expectations are. I mean, now that we've had this year, okay, and got to where we're supposed to be. Okay, maybe didn't accomplish the big goal, but got to where the Broken Arrow Tigers should be. Now let's see if we put ourselves in a position with our off season and with our production through that and our growth as far as just people and coaches and community that we get over the top and are playing for a gold ball this time next year.
It was a really great season, top to bottom, from the beginning to the very end. So we'll recap the season a little bit here after this commercial break and also take a look forward at what's coming back for the Tigers next season as Inside Tiger Football, presented by Rib Crib, rolls on.
Get your taste buds ready, because we're bringing all the drip and none of the drama with our new sauced and tossed Tender Bites. They're juicy, crispy, and sauced like a boss. Bite into your new obsession. Only at Slim Chickens.
Hey Tigers, get the only card that donates to Broken Arrow Public Schools every time you use it. TTCU Federal Credit Union has donated more than $360,000 so far. Support the Tigers with your card today.
Tulsa Bone & Joint, Northeast Oklahoma's sports medicine experts. We are pleased to help you and the athletes in your life with a number of surgical and non-surgical options. Tulsa Bone & Joint is proud to serve as team orthopedist for local high schools such as Broken Arrow, Owasso, Sapulpa, Cascia Hall, and Bishop Kelly. Tulsa Bone & Joint, moving life forward.
While you are teaching someone special the nuances of keeping the wheel steady, we can provide you means for you to maintain financial equilibrium. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. First people put people first.
Hey Tigers, I'm City Manager Michael Spurgeon. The city is preparing for the next general obligation bond election in April of 2026. Just like the improvements to Albany Street in front of the high school, bonds help pay for upgrades to public infrastructure like streets and intersections, public safety services, parks improvements, and more here in our great community. To find out more about the bond process, visit the city website. Thank you for helping us build our future. Broken Arrow, enjoy the rest of the game.
All in all, there's not a better place to work.
Working at St. Francis is...
Working at St. Francis is...
Working at St. Francis is...
It's very fulfilling. The work that we do is hard. The work that we do changes people's lives.
It's more than a job.
It's more than a job.
It's more than a job.
It's more than a job. It's a calling.
It's time to update your kitchen, just for you. Kitchen Tune-Up will make your kitchen look and feel transformed. Let's create a kitchen that inspires and uplifts you. Kitchen Tune-Up. Update, upgrade, uplift.
looking for some iced caffeine, left you in the cold. No one knows why brown water costs as much as liquid gold. Told him your name was Brian, why does this cup say Nicole? But then you found paradise in your cup at the Quick Trip. No regrets to start your day.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, presented by Rib Crib. Time to break down the entire season. We're going to look back all the way to Game 1, Coach Hill. I hope your memory is still working with you.
Let's work.
We're going to go all the way back to the Arkansas games where we went across the border and played Springdale Harbor and Fayetteville to start the season. What do you remember from those games, and how different does your team look in those two games against what you saw this last week?
Probably go some different angles than what you may be thinking, Dylan, but the first thing is Harbor, that's the loudest place I've played or
really?
Coached and played, so I still think that's funny and unique. Maybe they got away with the band. I don't know. But anyway, great start to the season. Went over there and beat what I felt like watching a team in the spring, that being Harbor, and watching them on the great growth, great football game. But we went over there and took care of business, I believe, 35-14.
Correct.
And got a good win over there, a good start. Travel, it's hard to go over someplace, as I just mentioned, is tough. So good win, good start to the season. Come back. I'm just going to start rolling through them a little bit, okay?
Sure,
But at least I'll get the first two, as you mentioned, and I'll let you roll in.
Okay, sounds good.
So we go over to Fayetteville, high-potent Fayetteville team. We deleted them for the rest of the year. We didn't win the football game, but we deleted them. We beat them up pretty good. Good, hard-fought football game, lost in overtime. I think our kids realized then, because Fayetteville was one of the favorites to be a state champion over there, but prior to the season, and that, hey, man, we got a chance to be pretty good. And we kind of let one go, to be honest with you. So that was a good start as we get into, and Dylan, I'll kind of let you kind of roll into the next couple.
And it goes into your last non-district contest with Mustang, who you end up seeing later in the season, but a little bit different because they had their backup quarterback in the game, so that changed the picture a little bit. And then you go into your bye week, and you've got Owasso following up that game.
So we were able to get in there with Mustang. We really wanted to be, and kind of a preseason look at the situation. We wanted to make sure we were 3-0 or 2-1. We thought that would be huge on the confidence, the level that we wanted to get to, and the expectations we reached. So we was able to get a win, a tough, hard-fought win against Mustang. I think there was some turning points in that game with a fumble there that we were probably getting ready to get up and probably put it away, but it kept tight. But again, our kids found a way to win there at the end, and we really enjoyed that. It was really tough without the other kid there because we didn't know he was going to play or not, to be honest with you. Sometimes you can get all that details out, but you didn't know. So it's kind of almost preparing for two game plans. But we came out on the good end of the stick. Get a bye week. You really love that at that time of year. That gives you time to, one, get some kids healthy, get them back in the, just feeling good. You get off that tough start. Physical football, sometimes nicks and bruises get you early in the year. So you get a little time to recuperate, a little time to work on the things that you're not really good at, and it didn't show when we went and played Owasso, and I was frustrated with that because we had that opportunity, and we didn't prepare for Owasso that extra week. We prepared for ourselves, but it didn't show against Owasso. We go out, again, I'll give credit to anybody that beats us, and it's not just because we played, but we played horrible. Again, the turnover gig, 3 turnovers to 0, horrible kicking game. This did not play well, and got beat 28, I believe, to 14, and so just not a real encouraging outing, and especially after the bye week and thinking that you kind of fixed any problems that you had and ready to flex your muscle, so to speak, and that did not happen. So took off, and so 0-1 in district play as we get started.
Yeah, it was a outing that I remember you coming back here that week after and saying a lot of things like Broken Arrow beat themselves that week, and I felt like for not only the players, but for the coaching staff, that was a turning point in your season as well. You talked about the Fayetteville game when the players kind of felt like, okay, we can do something. That Owasso game felt like it was like, okay, we can't lose games like that. We've got to make sure we're on our P's and Q's because we've got a whole football season ahead of us that we can really do something special.
No, there's no doubt about that. And there's always that point in the year. Winning, losing are relevant that you can identify as a changing point. And that was it. So as bad as it was, that's what it took to slap you in the face, hit you in the face, so to speak, to make you come out swinging. And I think we did after that. And we went to the mighty Yukon, if I'm correct. 42 to 14. Again, just 14. We like that number as far as defensively, held them to 14. So we go over there and we play a really, really complimentary football game. No turnovers. okay, throwing 70% completion rate. Samaj Stanford had one of the best individual games I've ever seen. With that, scoring touchdowns in 4 different ways with special teams, pick six and obviously a touchdown reception. So go over there, get a great win on the road with, again, a team that, man, is rolling. I mean, and as you see, they went through the year, they're a playoff team, a very good football team.
Very well,
So got after them, and it built a little confidence as we went into the next week, and we got a home game against Santa Fe, which was one of the weaker teams in the district, but yet the defensive player of the year came out of there with their big defensive tackle. Yeah. So we didn't play as well as we wanted to, but it was a 38-14.
20. So that's one thing I was going to ask you is they ended up being one of the only 3 teams that get 20 points
20 points on you. I think we made a couple of mistakes. I recall. Just a little memory jog in the secondary, and they got over the top on us a couple of times. So again, but a good sound win against Edmond Santa Fe. I don't care what the record is. They always have talent over there, always have. Nothing changes. Coach White does a good job over there. And so felt good about it, got our win, got what we wanted, and made us 2-1 in district as we go into
Norman North, which was a game that you and I had discussed going in that away from this show, you had told me that not necessarily that you were nervous, but you had a feeling that things could get ugly in that game. Yeah. And you end up going in there and taking care of business. And what I had said, in my opinion, was probably the most complete game that you guys had played top to bottom. And maybe you see things differently, but that's how I had seen it. And you guys come out with a huge win on the road.
Yeah, it was huge. Both teams were, with one loss in the district, they had already beat Edmond Memorial in an overtime game. So both teams were 2-1 in district, going to their place with 2 of the top recruits in the state. Their offensive tackle and their wide receiver. And I'm saying top. I'm not talking about top 20. I'm talking about top 5 or maybe 1, 2, 3 up in that arena. And they just had some talent. Their offensive is an explosive football team, and they just kind of – you're going, gosh dang, we got to go down there. We go down there, and I think I'm not going to say it that way, but we kicked their tail end. We got after them, man. Yeah. We did. We played a complete game. I would agree that's the best game we played all year long. And it was just fun to watch our team take the fourth quarter and just suffocate them and just say, you're done. It's over. Yep. And, so again, offensive football. I mean, we score 42 points. We 43 actually, and we hold them to 14. Get after them. I believe that was their total again. Am I right again?
I think you're right.
14 and
yes, sir.
And just play a really complete ball game against a team, like I said, that has a lot of firepower, that was hot, that was healthy. Their tight end's a junior. He's coming back. He's as good as I've seen. And of course, his brother plays in the NFL. So, just a real good outing, very positive feeling. I mean, like I said, when we walked away from there, I said, we showed that we can be a complete football team. I don't care who went into that arena that night of your top programs in 6A1. We performed just as well as anybody that particular night, which led us back home against the crosstown rivalries, 8 miles, whatever. I need to one day get my car and drive over there and see exactly what it is so I can be smart. But not very far away, a Union team that, again, I'd watched not be very good. I mean, them and Harbor, they actually worked together in the spring, and in what we call pad camps and all that type of stuff. And I just said neither team looked they just had some ups and downs they'd worked through. So again, the coach did a great job, had brought Union a long way. Again, a one-loss district team that we had to come in and compete, both 3-1 at that time. And again, we got after them here at home, played well, put them away the fourth quarter, another big fourth quarter, just dominating a performance. So very proud of that, very happy. And I think our kids were excited about that. I know the community's excited about that. It's Union, okay? But for us, I really liked our attitude toward it, Dylan, because it wasn't just that we went and beat Union. We did what we were supposed to do, okay? And our kids knew that and thought that. Knowing and thinking is 2 different things besides going and doing it. And so they went and did it, played a good football game. We could have put some more points on the board. But bottom line is a good sound, hard-fought football game that, like I said, that we made the plays we needed to make them and played really well again.
And then you turn things over and you go to Edmond Memorial, which was maybe the biggest ball game of the year at that point, because not only had you gone all the way through district play and ended up with just a 1 loss on the record, but Edmond Memorial was trying to position themselves for a bye week in the playoffs, and playoff seeding came into the picture. So now you've got to close things out against a team that's really tough on the road on Halloween night. Going to be a tough contest, and you end up going out there and you're getting a win there.
And you can see as we go through this season Some years you get teams whenever they're on their downside, and sometimes you get teams when they're on their upside. We were getting all these guys on their upside. Again, another one-loss team in district, just like us. So we had that UConn, we had that at Norman North, we had it at not Edmond Santa Fe, in that Union, and now we have it again. And so all the marbles are on the line on district play. Who's going to get that bye week? And we got to go over to their place. And we thought, again, we were the better football team, and we don't discuss that in that funny way, but we know that. You know when the kids know. But to go do it over there. And again, this is what I want our community and our kids to understand, if use this as a platform. Now, we didn't get very good officiating over there, okay? Now, they can't find me at this level. That's really good, okay? But we didn't get the best officiating. But who cares? When you do your job and you're better and you do what you're supposed to do, that won't beat you, okay? It won't beat you. You have to allow that to beat you. You have to allow – it's an excuse again is what I'm trying to say, okay? No, our kids overcame all that. We come out of there, we got after them again, dominated the fourth quarter, walked out of there at the third place and said, you can't do nothing about it, and had another good win. And I'm not going to ask what 29-14, whatever it was again, but something similar to that. But a good win, a 15-point win, got all of our points for our district play, sitting really pretty as we go into our last game of the year against the mighty Westmore Jaguars, who were not very mighty this year. And we took advantage of that opportunity with Game 10. With a big win, 62-14. 14 is going to stick with us. I can guess that pretty good all week long. But just a good win. A lot of kids playing senior night. Great outing just to be able to end the season and give us the momentum and the opportunities we even wanted to as we went into the playoffs.
And then you go into the playoffs, you play Mustang, and I think this one was a little bit of a curveball for a lot of people as you guys go into what is – got to be the game of the week across the state. The biggest matchup. Everybody's got their eyes on this one. Star quarterback going up against star secondary players on the Tiger defense. And, of course, great units on both sides for both teams. Great seasons as well. And then you get down to it, and you guys run the ball the entire ball game. You throw the ball 4 times, really, but one of them gets called back. So you end up with 3 pass attempts booked, and they're all incomplete passes. So 0 passing yards. But you guys win the ball game just running it down their throats.
And we saw what we needed to do. We didn't want their high potent offense, so half the defensive plan that night was keep them off the field. We did exactly what we wanted to do. Now, when I say exactly, I'm not being disrespectful, but we knew we were the better football team. Now, knowing it and doing it again is what you got to go out and get these young people to do. They did it, and in the form fact, I think we learned at times that we didn't even, it was a tight game for a while, but we pulled away there. And again, I can't remember the exact score, but it was over 15 points, and we got a good win. But the bottom line is we even had more in us. We had more in our tank, and so that's what I got to get our kids. That's still not the football we're really capable of. And so that led us into the opportunity, though. Big, huge win because, as you said, it was a marquee matchup in a lot of people's eyes. We convinced our kids to go play football. Don't worry about the rest of the stuff. If you'll go out there and do what we ask you to do, you guys are good enough to go out there and take care of business. And they did. Great win and got us where I felt like we should be. Okay? I mentioned this. It's kind of corny, but, my little passcode, so if anybody wants into my emails, go get after it, is Tiger number 1234, because I feel like that's where we should be every year minimal. Okay? And I don't want to be 4 or 3, but, that's where we should be. So we got there. And that was exciting, and the expectations that I put on us early in the year, when that in my own soul and heart, hey, this ain't going to work unless we can get there. Now you can't win it all until you get there anyway. So it's to say that you got there were you satisfied? No, and I think you see that from our performance against Bigsby. But I do think that it was something that was needed for our program. We had to play at that level, had to get to that arena if our expectations were going to be realistic for this upcoming year. It's hard to go do something that you've never seen or never felt, touched, all the other senses. And so for us to be around that and see hear the big boom, like I said, you can talk about this 1,000 ways on how it works out. See it, smell it, taste it, all the above. Now that our kids have done that, I think that sets us up and makes us, like I said, maybe the team to beat. Over Bigsby, Jinx, and let's go find out. But we're ready for that ride. We're excited about that ride, and we just got finished with that other one. So here we go. Let's get on it and No, we're not waiting until January 2026. We'll make sure January 2026, when we get there, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, whatever day we go back to school, we will be full speed, because what we're doing between now and then is making sure we're just getting the pace and getting to where we need to be and who needs to be where. And here we go, and we're excited and looking forward to that.
Anybody out there that is actually going to try to break into Coach Hill's email, we are going to have Prentice Joseph change that immediately, because I don't want anybody hacking your email.
so we would just simply go Tiger number 1, 2. Okay, so I'll go from there.
I'll put him on charge of that, though.
Okay,
and then we've already recapped the Bixby game and how that went, so no need to touch on that. But as we turn our attention to next season, you had talked about a lot of your skill guys offensively back. There's a lot of talent that's coming back this year. You guys lose a lot of seniors, but I think a lot of what made Broken Arrow special this year is that you had a lot of guys that still have another year, that still have another 2 years, that are going to come back and be big impact players for you. And I look defensively, and defensively you're going to lose Nate Jackson, you're going to lose Gaston Farrell, and a couple of defensive linemen. But aside from that, most of your defense is back.
I think on both sides of the football, we're looking at those 4 or 5 seniors that we're losing on both sides. So, it's still a good chunk. When you talk about 11 guys out there and you're losing a quarter of them, but at the same time, most teams don't have that coming back.
No.
And especially the talent level that's coming back. I mean, they're just not. It's just not a kid that played for us. There's pretty special players in that junior group and sophomore group, and we even had a freshman that started for us.
Yeah.
So, and they say you can't. I don't know what to do for you, Devin. They say you can't. For every sophomore you play, you have a loss. So, Devin, I don't know if we can play you next year. We'll have a talk with Devin Smith about that. But what you have now, hopefully coming back, is, as I've told you, a team that has been around this, that has the ability. Good players make you a good coach. There's no reason to talk around about that. All that coach has got to do after that is organize it, demand it, expectations, put the standards in front of them. They meet those standards, they're good football players. They're going to go win football games. So we're excited about it, like I said, Dylan, and we're excited about the opportunity, our staff gathering together from a strength standpoint, from a speed standpoint, from a standpoint of going and competing in other sports, of making all that work and saying that it's huge. We better go win a track state championship. I don't understand that, Coach. Several of our football players will be out there running track. Go win. Okay, go in. We don't have as many as I want Bo to go be and play. We're working on that. Me and Coach Wallace, they play basketball and football.
Yeah,
we need more of that. Okay, we got 3 kids that are going to be huge on the baseball team this year.
Yeah,
go win. Go take everything that you started here and process that. Take that someplace else. Be part of that. Bring it back to us. Bring your experience back. Let us go to work on our weaknesses. And go ahead and encourage our strengths, and like I said, from an individual basis, relationships continuing to grow. Just the idea of everybody on the same page trying to go win this gold ball. It's the most important thing in the world. No, it isn't, but yet it is. You got to have something in your life that maybe it is not the important part, the most important thing to the billions of people in China, okay? But to you it is. And that's what you build upon, and you kind of circulate becoming a better person through that too. So that's what we're trying to encourage. That's what we're after. I'm excited about it. And I know we got the right coaches in place, and strength coach and Jensen McKnight will just a huge role. He's going to be here the whole time. And the kids are going, yeah, he's going to be here. But they love him because he does push them. He does demand it to be done right. And most people, that's kind of the guy you don't want to hire, the guy you don't want on your business or on your team if he's not willing to pay that price and wants to pay that price of what it takes to get better. So our kids are excited about it. You can see that. Believe it or not, when we talk about the grind, they put the smile on their face and they're ready to kind of start that process. And it all just builds up as we lead into the 2026 football season, which really starts, as I did mention, believe it or not, January.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is kind of a follow-up question to that is, you've done this a couple of times in your coaching career is taking over a new program. So getting to work with these kids now for a full calendar year, full time, do you think that's going to have an impact? Because last year it was in and out because you were still finishing off your duties elsewhere.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, just like I said, this whole thing, we didn't get our whole coaching staff in until, basically June, to be honest with you. And there's obligations they had, contractual stuff with other school systems and everything else. We were fortunate. Our administration did a great job of gathering as many as we could and putting them over here, placing them. thank you again. So there's some reasons why we went through the season and wind up 9-3 because there's a lot of things that Broken Arrow Public School administration did to encourage us to get over here and get going the right direction. So it was a positive thing. But it's going to be nothing but more positive. Dylan, you didn't like me at first, but now our relationship, I'm just messing with you, obviously. Now our relationship, it's the same with the kids. You get this relationship, they see how passionate we are about it, how much we care, and the high expectations. And the more you get around that and they see that, the more their expectations and passion for it becomes too. So, no, we're excited as all get out to get that opportunity and work with these kids because we got a fascinating group of young people that are great people, much less are going to turn into great football players too.
I'm glad that you used the word expectations because my final question to you in this episode, postseason of Inside Tiger Football, is about a year ago you had your introductory press conference right out here in the Event Center.
Yep.
And you had said that you were not going to talk championships until you felt that this team was ready to talk championships.
Correct.
And you've hinted at it, but you've never really fully had a conversation with me about championships. Yep. Do you feel like right now you're ready to talk about championships?
Yes. Now, again, Dylan, I'm going to pull back a little bit because, like I said, we need to get started into this new season because, and that's what people understand. Oh, no, it's completely new. This is a new team. This is completely different than what we just had less than a week ago. It's going to be a whole brand new dynamic of what we do, okay, across the board. So I don't know that I'm ready to say, hey, yet. But that's the expectations. I'll stick that out right there. And I couldn't have said that last year and looked you in the eye and not been, our expectations were high. Where can we get? When we get there, I'll have a better idea whether we can do it. And I told you when we get there, we could. When we showed about 3/4 of that we could, okay?
Yeah.
But I know we can. High expectations. I couldn't imagine anything else besides getting this football team ready to go try to win a championship. But let's like I said, let's don't put that with words. Let's go ahead and start those actions here in the next like I said, about the next month, and then by the time February rolls around, I can kind of hint to you where we stand.
Okay. Maybe more ready to show championships than talk championships.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah, because that's what we're going to be doing during that process. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what off-season Travis Hill looks like. Let's see what it looks like from a winter standpoint to spring standpoint, and see if you can maybe, as Mrs. Hill likes to say, take a deep breath, relax a little bit.
Relax a little bit.
There you go. Well, we appreciate you for tuning in all season long here on Inside Tiger Football and tuning in all season to this incredible football program and what Coach Hill is building here at Broken Arrow with incredible coaching staff, incredible players. And it's been a lot of fun to do these shows every single week, and I'm looking forward to doing it again, whether we do it in the summer and pick up with some off-season work or do it again at the very end of week one going into the football season. But it's been a pleasure, Coach. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you sometime soon.
Yep, to everybody at AirVision, thank you.